Next we have Wes Streeting, President of NUS, the National Union of Students, representing more than 7 million students and 600 students' unions. He read history at Selwyn College, Cambridge, and was President of Cambridge University Students' Union from 2004 to 2005, before being elected to the NUS National Executive Committee. Wes has a strong interest in education policy, particularly on widening participation, and has held a number of positions within the higher education sector. He is currently serving as a member of the government's Youth Citizenship Commission. Wes.
Thanks very much, and thanks for inviting me to speak. In terms of the two issues, one or two most pressing issues, I certainly endorse what Faisal said really about the post-7/7 climate and the role that NUS has tried to play in all of this in terms of helping to respond is to make sure that Muslim students don't feel that they're acting and speaking alone when it comes to responding to some of the quite atrocious scapegoating and stereotyping that's taken place in the media, in political debate, and certainly when certain think tanks choose to put out particularly ill-informed and ill-evidence reports. And I think that's really important, because I think when it comes to tackling discrimination of any kind, it's important that the people at the forefront of that discrimination are leading the fight back. The fact Bells here is our National Black Students Officer, and we organise on that basis inside NUS is very important, but it's important that behind that you have a wider base of support and people who are willing to speak out and vocally challenge. The thing that most springs to mind in terms of my time in office as NUS President, I think was not long after I started the Centre for Social Cohesion, a completely inappropriately named think tank, put out a report which, I mean, the evidence base was flimsy to say the least. Its conclusions were frankly bizarre. And what they have sought to do, joined by all sorts of people really, but ranging from ill-considered statements from leading politicians right through to the usual bar you'd expect from Melanie Phillips in the Spectator, have kind of sought to portray a real problem that exists. We all know it exists. It's a real problem that exists of violent extremism and those who want to carry it out, sort of confusing and muddying that with the wider Muslim community, and that's really problematic and quite dangerous. And we see on campuses too many reports of Islamophobic incidents. We see too many incidents of it in wider society as well. And I think it's just really important that we take this up head on, because when it comes to stopping some of the root causes that lead to radicalisation, that sense of alienation, isolation, feeling that the world is against you, and the establishment is designed for you to fail. It's really important that we are not sending out that signal that somehow society really doesn't care and these people really are on their own. I think having organisations in civil society like NUS and the Trades Union Congress and others that have spoken out, I think is really, really important, and we'll continue to do that. The second issue that I think is really important for Muslim students is an issue that's really important for students generally. I think sometimes, I was just talking to one of Faisal's colleagues from FOSIS the other day, I think it's part of the problem with the post-7/7 climate is we have stopped talking about Muslim students as students and have to talk about Muslim students as responding to headlines all the time. So there is a review of tuition fees which is about to begin, we think, in the next couple of weeks. We know there's a determined effort to double fees, which are already at £3,000 a year. Students entering higher education this year are graduating with debts in excess of £23,500. That's a staggering level of debt, and it's particularly frightening for people from poorer backgrounds. And as we know, in touching on sort of some of the stuff I try and do around widening participation, there is a disproportionate amount of marginalisation and poverty experienced by the Muslim community. The reason why there are too few Muslims going to university is not because people don't want to go, it's because, like the communities too many Muslims are living in, they're impoverished, and it's not poverty of aspiration, it's just literal poverty which is hitting too many communities and a disproportionate number of Muslims. And I don't want to see a system worsening in the UK where debt rises, people are choosing courses based on cost rather than suitability, people are saddled with mortgage-style levels of debt, and of course that's just as much concern to Muslim students as it is any other group of students. Of course there are specific Muslim dimensions to that debate as well, things like financial arrangements and some of the religious commitments Muslims have to make around things like taking out loans and debt and those sorts of issues that mean that the voice of Muslim students is particularly important to hear in the fees debate and mustn't get overlooked as we argue about the kind of the big headline issues. So hopefully working in partnership with FOSIS over the next year, as we do on so many issues, we can make sure that we are tackling those issues which face Muslim students as Muslims, but also get Muslims involved in the campaigns we are fighting on behalf of students, full stop.